Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, to College Football Pros. My name is Nicholas Valinchek, and I am joined, as always, by Drew Van Jura. We are excited to bring another episode to you today. But first, before we finish up the Conference USA, wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about some news that broke out of Big Ten Media Day last week, where the commissioner determined that no longer will the Big Ten schools be able to play FCS opponents. What are your thoughts on that, Drew?
Couldn't be happier. I think all conferences should go to that. I think all conferences should be playing Division I schools. I don't care if you're playing Sunbelt, CUSA, MAC, WAC, and they're not even a conference anymore, but you can bring them back, play them. I don't care. Don't play 1AA schools. It doesn't do any good for you. It doesn't do any good for that team, besides the money. And if you want a money grab, move up. That's what I have to say to these FBS teams. If you want the money, build a bigger stadium, move up.
I don't think it's quite that easy, but I'm still in agreement with you that it is a good sign that they're not willing to put cupcake games. Like, look, with all due respect to some teams from the MAC, I'm just thinking about Ohio State's schedule this year, and they play Northern Illinois, and I believe Central Michigan. There's way too many Michigan teams in the MAC.
Western, so they play Western.
It's Western, okay.
Yeah.
So, we can both agree that those games aren't going to be competitive games, right?
No, neither is the game with Hawaii. But they're Division I teams.
So that's what I'm saying. There's really no need to find additional cupcake games to put on the schedule because they're still going to find their way on the schedule. That's one thing that always angers is not the right word, but it just frustrates me because I don't want to see the first 4 games of someone's schedule and just be like, well, that's, they might score enough games, they might not score enough points in the first game of the season that they could add up the total of their opponents' 4 scores and still beat them just off of the score from their first game. Should that happen?
No. I mean, you're always going to have that, the difference between major D1 and lower D1. But at the end of the day, you're playing a team with 85 scholarship players, or they're allowed to have 85. Some of them, these lower teams may not have a full allotment of scholarship players, but the fact is they can. And you're at Division I facilities. You're doing all this stuff just as an Ohio State does. You may not have enough money if you're a Charlotte or if you're a UAB in a couple years when they come back, but you have the ability to work out in these multi-million-dollar weight rooms. And all these coaches, look at some of these coaches in the lower conferences. There's some really talented guys out there. So, I mean, you look at the FCS level, you don't need to be playing teams from 1A. The money grab doesn't make sense to me.
Not just that, but it also is extremely embarrassing when an Appalachian State slaughters a 5th-ranked Michigan team, or YSU just does whatever they want with Pitt, and they're going to do it again in about 4 weeks.
And you know what that's going to lead to? That's going to lead to teams like Ohio State, Pitt, okay, Ohio State gets in Big Ten, but that's going to lead to teams like Alabama and the SEC and these Pac-12 teams. They're going to go play lower-level FCS teams. So instead of playing YSU, App State, North Dakota State, South Dakotas of the world, you're going to go play – I don't even know who the lower level one is.
I don't know if McNeese is the low end.
Alcorn State. You're going to start playing teams that you're going to beat. And it's all just a money grab. And that just really upsets me that the YSUs of the world, the only reason they're playing Pitt is for the money. They may beat them, but they're just playing them for the money.
Yeah, I think the schedules can do without them, and I think more opportunity playing some bigger name schools. Look, Northern Illinois has a bigger name than YSU, than North Dakota State. They're a more relevant football program, and like you said, at the end of the day, they're a D1 school, so you're playing smaller, less talented, but for the most part, they have the same opportunities, the weight rooms, the coaches. I think that I would much rather see, that extra game go to one of those teams. And I think the way it's structured isn't it going to another Big Ten opponent? So that game lost, isn't it going to just play someone else in the Big Ten?
Yeah, you're going to have 9 conference games in the Big Ten and no FCS opponents. So, yeah.
That'll be a very good litmus test to see how that works. I think that I'm still a fan of them playing the non-Power 5 schools because you run into situations where you get exciting games like Indiana and Bowling Green from last year. And I like that enough that I'm personally not a fan. I can understand why at a point they might turn away from doing that.
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, if you don't want to go out and play the Northern Illinois of the world, but you can go and play, Georgia Southern, Texas State. These are teams from the Sun Belt, but hey, guess what? They're Division I opponents. Charlotte, the newest FBS team, they're Division I though. Go play them. Kentucky's playing them. Why not? I mean, it's still Division I. They're still getting the money. So
yeah. Well, I guess today we can start off the Conference USA West, and we'll talk about Louisiana Tech, who in 2014 had the 48th ranked passing offense, the 88th ranked rushing offense, the 65th overall offense, the 91st passing defense, the 17th ranked rushing defense, a 35th ranked overall defense. They scored 37.4 points, and they allowed 24.7. What do you see in store for La Tech in 2015?
An interesting season. I don't know how to kind of gauge these guys. Jeff Driscoll coming in, is he going to start? Have you read that? Because I have not.
Yeah, I mean, Sokol's gone. So I don't know who else they would.
Ryan Higgins.
He
battled with him in spring. I don't know. I'm not sold on Driscoll because I saw him at Florida and I saw what he can and can't do. But you drop down to Louisiana Tech, different opponents, different styles. So I think he's a really good talent. But can he, take that talent that he has and experience there from Florida, and you couple that with Kenneth Dixon? I think this offense has a very interesting dynamic, if you will.
Do you think Driscoll is a plus or minus from Cody Sokol?
Man, that's a good question. I don't. I mean, with that offense, I think as we sit right now, he's got to be, a little worse. But if he can take that job and if he can really embrace the playbook, I think he's a guy. I mean, he's a former number 1 recruit in the nation. So he's got the talent. But I just don't know if he has the mindset to drop down to a Louisiana Tech and go, I was at Florida, I was at one of the most prestigious schools in the nation, and now I'm playing UTEP. You know what I mean? Like, that mindset has got to be crazy for him.
To me, I think it's a plus from Sokol to Driscoll in terms of talent, but talent is somewhat irrelevant when it comes to execution. So will he be able to execute this offense meaningfully? He's got great weapons. Offensive line is returning a lot of starts, plus they get a talented LSU transfer. That's good news for Driscoll and Kenneth Dixon. Dixon, I think, could certainly come close to 30 touchdowns. He ended with 1,800 total yards and 28 scores last year. He's a dynamic playmaker. They're bringing back their slot man and leading receiver, Trent Taylor. They have good pieces with Carlos Henderson and Paul Turner. I mean, all the weapons that he could possibly ask for will be there for him. So I think this offense definitely has the potential, if Driscoll is able to come in and really run it fluently, to stay around that 37, 38 points scored per game.
Yeah, I really do. And that's what I'm saying. This offense is hard for me to gauge right now because they have, new pieces with Driscoll and Turner. Dixon, we know what he's capable of doing, a 30-touchdown guy. Obviously, he's going to be the staple at offense. But if Turner can really stand out from the rest of those receivers, that he has a number 1. So you have a former number 1 overall quarterback recruit, and you have a highly rated receiver coming in from big time schools. So this. I agree with you that it's a plus, at the quarterback position. But man, if these guys' egos are like, oh well, I was a former number 1 recruit, I was for LSU, I was at Florida. I mean, you realize you're now playing CUSA teams, and if you get your head on straight and go out there and dominate, I mean, you'll still be drafted. You know what I mean?
That has to be a concern looking into the season, how he's going to drop down. His mentality might not even be that of having an ego, but it could be being defeated.
Yeah, exactly.
I was a former number one, and look where I'm at now. And that's not being disrespectful to Louisiana Tech, because this is a team that went to the Conference USA title game and really, really took it to Marshall. And had it not been for a late scoring drive by Cato, could have been a different story for them last year. And I think defensively they're in the same position. The linebacking core does lose a lot, but it's really interesting because there's the backups had 5 less starts than the starters did last year. So you really don't lose as much, and their D-line and defensive backs are still as strong. I really think this could end up being the best defense in all of Conference USA.
I completely agree. They led the nation in turnovers last year. So this defense knows how to get to the ball, knows how to force turnovers. Safety Xavier Woods, not to be confused with the wrestler Xavier Woods. 6 interceptions, 2 TDs, 3 forced fumbles, 1 block kick. I mean, this guy also drives the bus, makes the popcorn. So this guy does it all. So this team on defense, it has the potential to be a top 25 defense. And this offense has the capability of being a top 25 offense. So you put that together, and we may be sitting here at the end of the season, if they're, 9-4, 10-3, we could be sitting here saying, hey, Louisiana Tech, top 25 team.
Certainly not out of the realm of possibilities. At the very least, I think that they're poised and well in position to stay atop the Conference USA West. I do want to kind of put a comment in there. I'm really upset with you because you are going to make me fall off the wagon again, and I am going to have to get movie theater popcorn after hearing you mention the words popcorn. Suggestive advertising is really powerful. I don't know. I hope you're getting some kind of sponsorship money from the Popcorn Vendors Association.
I should be.
But now I really want movie theater popcorn. So
let's go.
Thanks a lot.
Let's go to a movie. Let's go.
Well, full disclosure, I have a problem. And it's really tough for me to admit this, but
this is what we do here. This is what we do here. We talk about our feelings and our problems, and our fans, listen to us and probably turn off the podcast this time.
Much better than paying a ridiculous amount of money to have someone sit on a couch and analyze me. Well, I have a problem spending money, especially at Christmas time, especially on other people. So in a routine trip to Sam's Club, where I just had to buy one $20 item, I walk into the store and I see a box that contains a stand-up movie theater popcorn machine.
Nice. So
logic dictated that I had to buy it. I wanted it for myself, but I gave it to my girlfriend, so that she loves movie theater popcorn too, and so I was able to get something for myself that I was able to give to her. So it just worked out perfectly. And then so, with that and $600 later, I left the store. And
all in all, good trip is what you're saying.
I stuffed. My car was completely stuffed, and I'm just kind of standing there looking at it and like, well, how do I do this to myself? I like stuff.
Joy.
I like buying stuff. It's really great. So now, once we're finished with this, I'm going to end up eating movie theater popcorn. I've let everyone know a little more than they probably ever cared to know about my spending habits. So thanks for listening. Thanks for saving me the money. Because paying a psychologist or a psychiatrist to listen to my problems isn't what I want to do with my money.
No. You want to buy movie theater popcorn.
Popcorn machines is what I want to do with my money. So thank you for saving me the money so that I could irresponsibly spend it. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
We're here to help, Nick. We're here for you.
Thank you. The bill's in the mail.
Oh.
So moving along, we'll go to North Texas, who in 2014 had the 111th ranked passing offense, the 80th ranked rushing offense, for an overall offensive ranking of 117. They're the 35th ranked passing defense, the 58th ranked rushing defense, the 43rd ranked overall defense, They scored 27.2 points per game and allowed 29.8. One thing I'm noticing with a lot of these Conference USA teams is none of them can be good at two things, it seems.
No, that's odd.
Basically, the conference champs of Marshall and La Tech are the only ones who are able to be top 50 in both offense and defense.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. Very, very weird that we see so many teams that are either completely and totally offensive driven or completely and totally defensive driven.
Well, this is what we talk about, the offensive schemes and the offensive philosophies, or even defensive philosophies. If you want to talk about that, coaches come in and go, you know what, I don't care about the defense. Let's put up 90 points a game. And kids from, that aren't being recruited by the big-time programs, see this and go, wow, I'm a receiver. Let me go play for, remember Hawaii a couple years ago, well, more than a couple years ago, when they were putting up a ton of points with, Chang and these guys. Every receiver in the nation wanted to go there because they're going to get the ball 55 times a game. So you come to a team like, UTEP or North Texas or, some of these other teams, the Marshalls of the world, and that you're going to get the ball if you're a running back. You go to Georgia Southern, Georgia Tech, because you're a running back and you're going to get the ball. So I think this is where you have these coaches down here going, I want to be good on one side of the ball. And these guys are coming from offensive coordinator positions or defensive coordinator positions. That's what they're comfortable with. So they come in and go, we're just going to focus on this. I'm going to recruit the heck out of this specific, side of the ball, and we're going to be great at it. And this is what you see. You're either good at defense or you're really good on offense.
Yeah, and unfortunately for this team, they're really good on defense and really poor at offense.
Yeah.
Andrew McNulty had a 1-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio last year.
That's not good.
No, I mean, not good is just putting it lightly. I mean, that's downright awful.
Oh, and fun fact, coming back this year, you have to replace 4 offensive line starters.
Oh, that's all. Yeah, this loses 156 career starts.
Yeah. That should make you feel real good.
If Antoine Jimerson didn't have a hard time getting the job done, if Jeffrey Wilson didn't have a hard time getting the job done, if McNulty didn't have a hard enough time getting the job done, now it's just going to be much more difficult.
Yeah, I don't know. This team is going to struggle on offense once again. Carlos Harris as a wideout is probably going to be their number one guy, but if his offensive line can't keep him, McNulty upright, I don't know. You can't get the ball to him, so they're going to struggle, very honestly.
He's going to be a number 1 guy that would be a number 4 guy production-wise. I don't want to say that because I think he is talented. What I'm trying to say is his line at the end of the year would be like a number 2, 3, or 4 receiver in many, many, many other programs, just because they just can't seem to put things together on offense.
Yeah, and that's very sad to say because like you said, there's some very talented guys on this offense, but it's like they don't, talking about schemes and stuff, it's almost like they don't fit the coach's scheme, and then it translates to bad offensive play calling, and then it translates to a 3-9 season. So I don't know.
Yeah, the defense is poised to stick roughly where it was, and the story basically all along their defense is they are losing starters, but the replacements are high quality, or they're transferring in high quality players from other schools, including UAB at the defensive back position. So I think the opportunity is there for this defense to stay somewhat productive, but it's really irrelevant in the scheme of things because the offense isn't going to put points on the board.
Yeah, this team, on the defensive side of the ball is led by Kenny Byers, safety. He's going to, anchor that defensive backfield, but he's only one guy. And if the other people around him aren't doing their jobs, he's going to have he may have a lot of tackles, but when your safety is one of your leading tacklers, that's not good.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough year this year. Moving along, we'll go to Rice, the 63rd ranked passing offense, the 59th ranked rushing offense, the 68th ranked overall offense, the 79th ranked passing defense, the 46th ranked rushing defense, the 55th ranked overall defense. They scored 28.8 points a game and they allowed 28.5. So their margin is they have no room for error this year. What do you like about this Rice team?
I like their running backs. Jawan Davis, 1,000 yards. Derek Dillard, 11 touchdowns. I love the 1-2 combo. And then this Rice team is really, the past 5 to 6 years have really grown from the little team that could to a team that really could compete with Louisiana Tech this year, with their, 1-2 running back combinations and their quarterback, Jackson, who's a dual threat guy. So I'm excited for this offense. I really am.
I like Dreyfus Jackson. He didn't produce poorly last year, but he was somewhat inconsistent. I think the biggest thing he needs to work on is he needs to get over that 60% mark in terms of his completion percentage. I think if he does that, he's on pace to eclipse what he was able to put together last year. The offensive line looks good. Like you said, Davis and Derek Dillard make a great 1-2 punch. Davis is going to see 70% of the production at the running back position. It's fair to say he should probably eclipse 1,000 yards again. Dillard is a dynamic athlete, and he's used better, I think, out of the passing game, out of the backfield. So I think if they continue that relationship with those two running backs, that's going to power this team to be able to win some games and contest, like you said, Louisiana Tech for the potential West title.
Yeah, I really am excited. This defense, like you said, they have literally no margin for error because they're going to be tested, a lot. Because while this offense has the capability of being too explosive, almost at times, they have 2 plays, 55 yards and a touchdown. Your defense is right back on the field. So I like the defense, but they really have to figure it out, as a whole and stop. They had a problem getting off the field on third down last year. So if they can figure that out this year, I'm excited for this defense as well.
They dealt with a lot of injuries on the defensive line last year, which is obviously going to make a tremendous impact in anybody's. I don't care how deep you recruit. If you have 11 injuries take place on your defensive line, that's problematic.
Absolutely, and their linebackers are the strength. They return some great linebackers, and that's
they do. But they also lose 5. They return their top producer, and then the next 5 to 6 producers beyond that are gone. I find that a little bit troubling. Now, hopefully the backups have enough experience that they can come in. The main cause for concern on this team, to me, is the defensive backs losing 125 starts. You don't want to lose starts in that type of, you don't want the bunch to be that big. Triple-digit lost starts is generally not a good thing. So I'm really concerned about their ability to play passing defense, and look, we've talked about some of the amazing offenses like Marshall and Western Kentucky, and there's several others that could emerge this year. In this conference, you don't need to put yourself in a position where you can be taken advantage of through the air.
No, absolutely not. I just echo that sentiment that you have to figure it out on the defensive backfield. But their defensive line for me is a huge issue. Not only do they lose Christian Covington, he got hurt last year, and everybody expected this kid to be back, and he decided to go to the NFL. Interesting. And then they're holy crap, all CUSA first teamer. Brian Nordstrom quit football. He had 19 tackles for loss last year and decided to quit football to go work. So, those 2 losses combined with inexperience and lack of talent on the defensive side of the defensive backfield side of the ball, this team has zero room for error, and they have to be on every single game.
And it's going to be tough in this conference, so I'm not ready to put them with Louisiana Tech, all things considered. I don't know how much of a fire they're going to be able to light under them either, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. And I think they're the number 2 team in this side, but I do agree. I don't think they're in the echelon of Louisiana Tech just yet. They're on their way there, but not yet.
Moving along, we'll go to Southern Mississippi in 2014, had the 34th ranked passing offense, the 5th worst rushing offense, the 100th ranked overall offense, the 84th ranked passing defense, the 112th ranked rushing defense, the 106th ranked overall defense. They scored 19 points per game and allowed 35.4 points. So that means they gave up over 2 touchdowns more. That's not a great way to start the conversation about Southern Mississippi.
But one positive side. They went 0-12 in 2012, 1-11 in 13 and 3-9 in 2014. So this year, 4-8. Why not, right?
Well, the numbers would suggest that possibly could be an issue, but it certainly isn't out of the realm of possibilities. Nick Mullins looks like he'll be back as the leader of this offense. He put up average passing numbers and really subpar touchdown passes, so that's a major concern for me. Don't want to see that. The offensive line increases starts and experience. Justice Hayes coming in. What do you make of that situation?
It's interesting. I mean, I don't know where this team is going to gel. I don't. You add pieces, you add parts, and you add recruits. But at the same time, this team, they have a ton of issues off the field. They have a ton of issues on the field. I don't know if his addition is going to do anything. You know what I mean?
I'm going to agree with you. I think you have to take some type of notice when someone from a school like Michigan transfers into your program, and the hope is that the level of talent that they're bringing in with them will prevail. And, I mean, it's just, if you think about it, a common sense way to look at it is a running back from a better conference should be able to dominate, in theory, as long as, there's no major holes on the offensive line or something like that. Should be able to come into a conference like the Conference USA and be fairly productive, if not highly productive. Would you agree?
I would 100% agree. But at the same time, you put a guy, that's, kind of like Driscoll, you put a guy who's uber talented and just highly recruited guy, but can he make that transition where it maybe he doesn't have the better pieces around him as he would at Michigan or as he would at Florida or any of these other schools he transfers coming in. So I'm interested to see how that works out. I really am, because their running back situation is murky at best.
Ito Smith. Well, that's a great name, first of all. He was the top producer, if I'm correct, last year. He's going to be around the situation, but from all accounts, I think they're going to probably give Hayes the opportunity to lose. The receiving core is one of the most diverse is not the proper way to word it, but it's the most spread out. I know that kind of sounds like the same as diverse, but there's an implication with diverse that there's like a positive connotation to it. I don't know that this is a positive connotation, having 9 players over 100 yards with 4 over 400, but none over 600.
Yeah, so it's like you said, it's spread out, but is that a good thing or a bad thing? You don't really have that one guy.
Yeah, it's spread out, but it's still a very low amount of yards. It's not like we're talking 4,000 yards being spread out over 9 people. We're talking about 2,400 yards. I think that there's no one that really makes me go, okay, this guy's a guy to look at. I just don't see it there. And, this is going to be a run-heavy offense, which is odd considering that they were ranked the 5th worst last year. I don't know.
Yeah, no, this team finds itself at the bottom of a lot of stat categories. On defense, there's not really one guy that stands out. So they're going to struggle in a lot of games.
Yeah, I mean, the story for most teams this year is that they're increasing starters. They're more experienced. There's a plethora of sayings that get tossed around to try to justify why a poorly producing team should improve. But the reality of the situation is this is a poorly producing team on both sides of the ball, and there's nothing here that really makes me say, oh, they're in for a sizable jump because blank. There's nothing there that makes me say fill in the blank. Justice Hayes could, but I don't want to play the hypothetical game right now, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think there's much more that can be said about this team other than the fact that it should and could be a very long season.
Speaking of another long season, we will go to UTSA, who in 2014 had the 110th ranked passing offense, the 110th ranked rushing offense, For the 7th worst overall offense in the country, they had the 66th ranked passing defense, the 32nd ranked rushing defense for an overall defensive rating of 44th. They scored 17.1 points, which was the 8th least in the country, and they gave up 25.9. So what do you know? Here we are again in the Conference USA, where we have a team that can't seem to put points on the board, but doesn't really have a hard time keeping them off either.
Yeah, led by Larry Coker, who has a national championship ring from Miami. So, he's a guy that knows how to get it done. They have 3 starters returning on this team, all on the defensive side of the ball. So when you have to replace literally your whole squad, man, they finished 4-8 last year. I don't know if they get even to 4 or even 3 wins this year. I really don't. I don't know anything on this offense where any offensive production is coming from, honestly.
So let's start off here. Who's the quarterback? And done. Yeah, that's basically the way to look at this.
There's like 5 guys that are projected to be starting, depending on what publication you look at. It's like, I don't know. I can't even tell you. I don't know.
One of them is Michigan transfer Russell Bellamy, who, if nothing else, caused me to remember that Bill Bellamy did exist at one point.
Wow.
So that was a plus. I was able to flash back to the mid-'90s, and I was like, hey, that's cool. 20 years ago, Bill Bellamy. That is not good when you're trying to research something, because the internet has made it possible so that you could rabbit trail consistently. Yeah. And after seeing the last name Bellamy and going into Google, Wikipedia, and other sources of information and misinformation, I finally came back to my research an hour and a half, 45 minutes later. So that was not good.
Yeah, like this offense, not good.
Yeah, that was the best story that's going to come from this offense this year, by the way, is my Bill Bellamy story.
Jarvion Williams at running back, maybe. He probably should start. He's pretty explosive. But his offensive line has to be rebuilt. I don't know.
2 offensive linemen who started more than 1 game back.
Yeah.
That's tough.
That's right. Dead. Hey, at least the defense returns 3 guys, so they actually might. I don't know. No, I can't even make a joke there, because it's not even worth it, because this defense has zero. I don't want to start saying stuff because I don't want to offend a lot of people, but they're going to struggle. We'll say that.
The defensive line is losing 127 starts, so that's a horrible way to start out the conversation. We've already illustrated once this week that when you're losing triple digits at a position in terms of career starts, it's probably not a good thing, because you're dealing. This isn't the NFL where you're saying, well, we're losing 50 starts from last year. Well, that's fine, because the guy who's coming in to replace them probably is not a rookie and probably has been around. Well, the guys who are replacing people at UTSA are people fresh out of high school who are moving up to an entirely new level of competition. That's not necessarily the best thing. The linebacking crew returns a fair amount. That's the only plus I see. The defensive backs are losing a lot of starters. They were the 44th ranked defense last year. I'm calling for them to end in the 60s and be probably in the middle tier in the country in defense, which for an offense that can't score points, I mean, I hate to say this because, like you said, you don't want to offend anyone. This could overall be one of the worst teams in the country.
Yeah, I mean, they have recruits and transfers coming in from Oklahoma and Baylor. I mean, when you're talking about defensive guys coming in from the Big 12, don't really know if that's something to hang your hat on.
Right.
And that's with the utmost respect to Big 12 defenses, but dude, if they win 2 games, maybe.
Yep, I'm right there with you. So moving on from them, we'll go to UTEP. The 9th worst passing offense in 2014, the 35th ranked rushing defense, the 108th ranked overall offense, the 15th ranked passing defense, the 79th ranked rushing defense, the 39th ranked overall defense. They scored 26.6 points and they allowed 28.1. The first thing that I feel like I need to mention is that scoring 26.6 points for this team should not happen, right? There's enough talent on this team that they should be able to go over that amount.
They should. I mean, their offensive line returns 4 starters. Their running backs are very, very talented in this offensive scheme. So yeah, they should be putting up in this conference. They should be putting up 30 to 35 points a game.
They are going to lose their starting quarterback, Jamil Showers, who I believe is transferring, and I don't remember where he's transferring to, so I don't think he lost eligibility. I believe I saw his name come up somewhere else. I could be wrong. Mark Leftwich looks like he could be the guy who ends up starting this year, but at the end of the day, this is an offense that's powered by the run, so it wouldn't be surprising if whoever ends up starting has less than 2,000 yards in the passing game.
Yeah, I mean, this is a run-first team, so
Aaron Jones is definitely the top guy in terms of this offensive structure. He was somewhat inconsistent last year, so you kind of hope that he's able to level things out and be a complete player all the way through the year because he's got some dynamic ability, and he's definitely one of the top running backs in the Conference USA. At the receiver position, I like Autry Golden, and the reason I like him is because they'll also use him out of the backfield. They'll use a lot of people out of the backfield at UTEP, but I like guys that have different ways to be used, guys who can be used in different positions around the field. I think they just provide a more exciting element, and they keep defenses guessing, which inevitably help the team score. You would think, but
yeah,
that wasn't the case last year.
And just to go back on your Showers, he graduated.
Okay, so I was thinking of someone else.
He's gone, but yeah, I mean this offense is interesting. But I mean, receiving wise, they have like no experience coming back, which is an issue when your quarterback is new and your receivers are all new together. So I don't know. It's going to be a tough year.
Defensively, I think they improve well, at the D-line and the linebacker position. I think they should improve their overall ability to play the run, but I think they lose some key people at defensive back, so I think their defensive or their passing ranking will drop some. So overall, I feel like it's probably going to be a level for this defense, similar production to last year, but it's somewhat irrelevant if your team can't score points. And like you said, last year this team on paper should have had a better opportunity to score points, but it didn't get it done. Now you're talking about a situation where they're breaking in a new quarterback, they have a new line of receivers. There's nothing that leads you to believe that they're going to be any more productive.
No, and I don't see the defensive side of the ball, causing enough turnovers to help their offense, especially early in the season, early in conference play. Sometimes you could rely on your defense to get some turnovers, put your offense in good positions. This defense, I don't see that happening. And with the inexperience on offense, this team, I think they have a winning season, and I think they do go bowling somewhere, but there's maybe a very, very, 50-50 chance it could go either way,
So who do we – I think this answer is pretty simple after we've gone through this division. Who do you have pegged to represent this division in the conference title game?
Louisiana Tech. I really do feel it's them in Western Kentucky, in the conference title game.
So who do you have taking that game?
I've been going back and forth on this a lot, but I think Western Kentucky just too much offensive power, and I think they go I think they take it.
So I'm going Louisiana Tech on this side too, and I think that's by a wide margin. I have them going against Marshall, and I actually think that this is a prime position in a good time this year for Louisiana Tech because Marshall has lost the core of their offense. It is not going to be able to reciprocate what it has done in the past, and I think that is going to be enough of a distraction, and the team will ultimately fall to Louisiana Tech. So I'm going to give Louisiana Tech the nod as the 2015 Conference USA champions. Yeah,
and if it's Louisiana Tech and Marshall, I'll take Louisiana Tech all day. I just, that Marshall-Western Kentucky game, man, we talked about it before. It's, beyond pivotal. We talked about it in the last, RC USA other side, but I think Western Kentucky and that offense, I just don't know how you stop them. You can't stop all four guys, at one time on that offense.
Well, the problem is their defense can't stop one guy, let alone four guys, so that's also a problem.
True, and if Louisiana Tech can, take that, step with Driscoll and Dixon, I think this team, as I said earlier, this is a top 25 team. But I also think Western Kentucky is a top 15 team. So
I think top 15 is
yeah. I mean, and by that I probably mean 15. But I'm giving them a lot of credit because coming into this season, they return a plethora of experience and a plethora of weapons. So how can you not sit there and say, if Boise State is going to be ranked high, why not Western Kentucky? Because I think Western Kentucky beats Boise State.
I'm going to let you have that one by yourself because ultimately I just look at Western Kentucky's defense and giggle like a schoolgirl.
So I look at the Big 12 defenses and giggle, but at the same time, everybody is saying TCU, is number 2 in the nation. So how do you make that, correlation to defensive giggleness?
Well, I think TCU's offense is better than Western Kentucky's, and I think their defense is far better. It might not be the best. It's not the best. It's not close to the best, but it's nowhere near the horrible, horrible mess of a defense that Western Kentucky has.
But you can correlate to the CUSA and Big 12. Western Kentucky is the TCU of CUSA. They put up a ton of points and give up a lot of points. So, you know what I mean? Like, how do you make that saying? I'm not saying Western Kentucky isn't a top 5 team, but they should be ranked in the top 15.
Marshall didn't get above 18 being undefeated last year near the end of the season. There's no way. I don't know. Western Kentucky would have to go completely undefeated, and if I'm not mistaken, they have a game against LSU on the schedule, so that's not going to happen. So, with that,
I'm saying it could be done, and it could be a discussion at the end of the season we're having.
It could be in the 1,000,001th universe that exists because there's a 1 in a million shot that's going to happen.
And there was a 1 in a million shot App State was going to beat Michigan a couple years ago, but it happened. And there was a 1 in a million shot that Western Kentucky could defeat everybody on their schedule, no matter who it is. So you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah, that's what we're coming down to. I'm going to predict that. Let me think. Vanderbilt's going to go undefeated because there's a 1 in a million chance. I mean, come on, they're not going to win. They're not going to beat LSU. This is what I'm talking about here. Is their defense is that bad that people are going to score a ridiculous amount of points on them.
But if
I applaud you for nothing more than going out on a limb, because that's what we want to do, going out on a limb and making bold predictions, but I'm not with you on that one, all right? Sometimes I'll jump off the cliff with you. This time, I'm just going to point and laugh, all right?
All right, wait a minute. Wait. Before we wrap this up, I just put up their schedule, Western Kentucky. They start the season at Vanderbilt. Beatable team?
Yeah.
All right. Then they play at Indiana. Beatable
First
team.
Of all, just keep skipping down, hit LSU, and
all right.
Game over.
All right, yeah. I was going there out of conference, just trying to be considerate to all these teams. But yeah, at LSU. Okay.
Done deal.
I'm just saying it's possible.
They already lost.
Just saying it's possible. Oh, it is possible. And before that, the week before that, LSU plays Florida. So they can come into that game really beat up. Just saying.
Lightning could strike 3 of their top players. There's no telling. Hurricane Sandy might come back. I'm not sure. I don't know how El Nino is a thing.
It is.
So that might happen. Filibuster. I know that one.
That's a fun one.
Anyway, if anyone wants to disagree with Drew's ridiculous opinion about Western Kentucky, where can we do that at?
You can tweet at me all day at CFB Pros Drew. And if they want to come to you in the Love Fest for Marshall, where can they find you at?
Actually, I think I'm going to give you Drew's home address if you want to write letters. Okay, all right. You can find me at College Football Pros on Facebook, at CFB Pros on Twitter, online at www.cfbpros.com. Once again, we thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.